Welcome back. Well, Donald Trump is expected to make his case for a budget that boosts defense spending when he addresses Congress in just a few hours.
Yeah, but the US president's plan could mean steep cuts for government departments and also foreign aid. Now, when it comes to US foreign aid, there are some big numbers to be read. In 2015, the total across all government agencies amounted to more than $48 billion.
That was 1.3% of the federal budget that year, or less than a third of 1% of the US GDP. Well, here are the 5 recipients of US aid in 2015.
According to the Congressional Research Service, Afghanistan and Israel received by far the largest amounts. Iraq, Egypt and Jordan also receiving more than $1 billion each.
Well, joining us now from Washington to discuss all of this is CNN political analyst Josh Rogin. He's also a columnist for the Washington Post. As always, good to have you with us, Josh.
Great to be with you.
Looking at this budget, there are huge cuts, and as you'd expect, Democrats are against them, but somewhat perhaps surprisingly, some leading Republicans are also against it.
Well, yeah, that's right. We should see this budget proposal by the Trump White House as an opening salvo in what will be a months-long battle between first the White House and the agencies and then the administration and Congress. And what Democrats and Republicans are both objecting to is what has been reported to be a 37% proposed cut in the budgets for the State Department and foreign assistance. That would be mandate, if implemented, a drastic cutting back of programs all over the world, U.S. missions in countries on every continent, and really a real sort of reorientation of American foreign policy towards more military-heavy approaches and away from diplomacy and development.
And Josh, I mean, when you look at that, there's a State Department aid right there now, foreign aid. The thing is, we were discussing this last hour too, foreign aid is not because we love giving money to other people necessarily. It's an investment in security, is it not? And what would scaling it back be? It is not, in a budgetary sense, a whole lot of money.
Right, and what's interesting is that generals, especially Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, have been some of the most strong proponents of foreign assistance because it does what the military can't do, which is to help build stable and prosperous societies to avoid conflicts that we would have to go in and clean up with military power. And if you looked at that list that you just showed, Afghanistan, Jordan, Egypt, these are countries that are really struggling, you know, and a withdrawal of foreign aid at this point could really have a destabilizing effect. And I think what Congress and what a lot of people inside the administration are going to argue, perhaps successfully, is that the money spent on foreign aid is really a savings, more of an insurance policy against crises that could unfold if we aren't involved in those countries. And what's more, it's such a small part of the budget that if you're looking for huge defense increases, this isn't really a viable way of paying for them.
It's interesting to note that even though Republicans do have the majority in the House and Senate, they do need Democrats to get the budget over the line.
That's right.
How can the president reach out across the bridge to get them on board with some of his measures?
Well, what surprised me, actually, is that the administration so far hasn't done much reaching out at all. Even Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said today that the State Department budget cuts proposed by the White House won't have the votes to pass. Now, what we can say is that there's going to be a negotiation, and perhaps the administration and Congress will meet somewhere in the middle. But there's a broad feeling in Congress that the administration has not consulted them, doesn't have respect for their power of the purse, and that's going to have to change if they want these negotiations to go in their favor as this budget process unfolds.
I'm interested in your thoughts on the broader philosophical point of this, that
Sure.
you know, cuts to the State Department, which a lot of people just say would be insanity in terms of you know, investment in security and foreign aid and other things as well. What does it say about the direction of this administration? It's not being done by accident, one imagines. There's a feel that there's an inward turningness to this government, a detachment from the world. And what are the risks of that?
Well, yes, you're exactly right. I think there are two things going on here. There's always been a portion of the Republican Party that believes that the State Department is bloated, spends too much money on things that are not important, and has priorities that don't reflect American interests and values. Then you add to that this administration, this president, has promised to reorient everything including foreign policy, to focus on what's good for America and Americans first. So no longer will United States, under Trump's vision, advocate for other people around the world for their own sake, only if there's a benefit for U.S. jobs or U.S. persons or U.S. economy. And that is a radical change. Now, again, there will be resistance as the Trump White House tries to implement that strategy, but that's how they're thinking, and that's what this budget proposal reflects.
All right, Josh Rogin, good to have your analysis on all of that. Thanks so much.
Yeah, great piece today too. Check it out.